their spin on it. And so that's what's happening. It's okay to tell that because that's the way I feel about it. And so we have to be careful. Post-truth, basically you're dealing with your feelings and what does everybody else think about it. That's the logical end of a post-Christian society. The only possible step for a culture once founded on Christian truth, and you're starting to leave this, is what is happening today is people are abhorring Christian truth to the extent where they're going to deny the history of Christianity within the world itself. Oh, the Christians really didn't do that. That influence was done by something else. I remember, a few years ago, the then president of the country of Iran, remember the statement he made? The Holocaust was a lie. It never happened. It's just made up by the West so that they can justify supporting Israel. It's a lie. The Holocaust. Now, I don't know. Do y'all think the Holocaust was factual? Did it actually happen?
Yeah.
I mean, we have historical facts, eyewitnesses, and things that say that. But what's happening is people are denying. They're not even looking. Don't confuse me with the facts. Y'all ever heard that one? Don't confuse me with those things. I do whatever I think. That's what I want to do. The New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof, he was doing a study on anti-Christian sentiment in the United States. People talk about Christians in different areas. They call them rubes. R-U-B-E-S. You know what a rube is? Redneck. Or whatever. In other words, it's not a good term. Many people think when you say Christian, that's the thing that they calculate with it. Oh, those people they don't know anything. They're so backward, they're ridiculous. And so, in some groups, Christians, evangelical Christians, are safe to openly criticize and to mock and to make fun of and to go after. It's okay to go after the Christians. That's all right, because they're know-nothings anyway. But then, you talk about, anybody remember the name Salman Rushdie? He wrote a book called The Satanic Verses, basically talking about the Quran in Islam. What did he have to do after he wrote that book? Y'all remember? That's right. He had to go into hiding. Why? His life was threatened. He had a death warrant issued against him simply because he was talking about the Quran. And then, remember, I think it was in France, somebody drew some caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad. And the next thing you know, that place is being attacked and assaulted by Muslims because they're saying, you don't do that. But people look at it as okay to come after a Christian and mock them and make fun of them. They're nothing. They're nothing. And so basically you see disdain, which is shown for Christianity in the media, the entertainment, the film, Silicon Valley, Washington. Remember the little word that came out during the elections last year? The deplorables. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Yep. And so academics, you see all these things. I remember there were some people talking about, and there was an article about ESPN. And there were people saying, I'm tired of ESPN. I'm tired of all the social commentary. All I want to do is see the sporting event. I don't need the other things. And there are a lot of people who said, that's it, I'm done with ESPN. I'm tired of all this social commentary. I just want to watch the events. And so in other words, they were going after Christians, after these things. Any of y'all watch the movie Transformers? I'm sure it's on your watch list, the number one. Okay, yeah. So anyway, yeah, a lot of younger people. But in one of the Transformers movies, the heroine, the girl that's in there, she was asked a question. How would you basically stop an evil robot from destroying the entire world? What would you do? And this was her reply. Well, I would barter with this robot and say, instead of the entire planet, can you just take out all of the white trash, hillbilly, anti-gay, super Bible-beating people in middle America? And that's in the movie. That's the statement. That's a quote from that movie. And so you see, this sentiment can be found in a lot of leading edges in our society. That's it. They're just scum, basically. George Hansen, University of North Texas. He's a sociology professor. He is studying Christianophobia. I don't know if that's a word. Christianophobia, fear of Christianity. Did a survey in a high school classroom with students talking about the persecution of Christians in the world simply for their beliefs. They were being persecuted because of what they believed. The reaction of the students, they stated that this was good and that the Christians deserved to be killed because they have so frequently been oppressors and slaveholders. And they said the students approved of the murders, and there is an emerging, as this gentleman found in his research, there is an emerging and significant percentage of Americans who believe that Christians in the U.S. deserve punishment for past evils also. This is where we're living. This is the thoughts that are going on now. In a 2000 survey in the United States of professors in different colleges, more than 50% expressed open negative feelings against Christians who were applying to the school and Christians in general. And they said, we will discriminate if a Christian applies to this school. His resume will be in the trash. We do not want the Christians here. And we're seeing that in our society now, a majority of the influencers, they've been taught to reject, to mock, to disdain the Christian Bible, the Ten Commandments, and even Jesus Christ, who is the way, the truth, and the life. Now, Paul wrote in Ephesians chapter 6, he talked about putting on the armor of God. Now, you put on armor only for one reason and one reason only, and that's to go into battle. That's to fight. But Paul qualified his statement at the beginning, putting on this armor. He said, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. He was trying to get us to see that what is visible, the assaults that we see with people, there's something behind that. And there are principalities and powers, spiritual wickedness in different places who are influencing these things. And he's trying to get us to see that there's another whole realm we don't see with our own eyes that's happening. And he said that's why we need to put this armor on. We are in a battle. And so many are ignorant of the reality that the institutions, the customs, the values, the wealth that people are inheriting now came from a Christian society, a truth-based society, and they're taking it for granted. We had subjective truth. Remember the 2016 election? Oh yeah, we're trying to forget that one. There was so much subjective truth in that election. This is what I think. Well, this is what the truth really is. But the problem is the majority of the people, they're setting their own standards for moral right and wrong based on their feelings, regardless of the facts. And this is going to affect the American lives and the American families from here on out. We have peace and stability right now. It's taken for granted, and what's going to happen is eventually this is going to collapse and the confusion is going to happen where the machinery of the U.S. and the Western culture is going to grind basically to a halt because of this influence. And then people, it's been engineered. It's amazing what God has done and how this has all been engineered, but eventually it's going to stop. I remember looking for a used car when I was in college. I went to West Ashley Toyota, no advertising, that's just where I went. And they had a car there, used car. And the guy at least disclosed this. He said, yep. He said, we had this young lady turn this in. She said it wasn't running right. We checked it out. And she hadn't changed the oil in 22,000 miles. This was in the days before synthetics, when it was every 3,000. 22,000 miles without an oil change. He said, we got into that engine, it was just like mud. And eventually it did seize up. I didn't buy that car, by the way. I pretty much steered away from that one real quick. No, thank you. But at least he disclosed that. We were in Tanzania. Learned about the history. Tanzania was given their independence in the late 60s, early 70s. They told all the expatriates, I was an expatriate. I was allowed to come into the country by permission to work there. The government, the Tanzanian culture, they said, all the expats, you have to leave. Get out now. And they did. But what did the expatriates leave behind? The coffee plantations, the tea plantations, the cattle, the livestock, all those things where they had businesses and they were working these things, these farms, they left it. They had to leave. They were told to get out. And they did. Now, the first year, everything was good. The coffee plants produced, the teas came in, the cows were good, the sheep were good, everything was good. And so what happened was they turned in all this, used it for profit, and then used the money. Didn't put anything back into it. Now, y'all know you got to put something back into it to make it work, right? Well, the first year was okay, nothing. The second year was all right. The third year was, oh wow, what's going on? The fourth year, can you please come back? They were begging people to come back because the things were basically falling apart and they didn't know how to maintain it. Now our society is going to struggle with basically to enforce and write objective laws and policies. If you're away from truth-based, it's post-truth, it's anything goes. And so what's going to happen? The courts, the schools, the neighborhoods, retirement accounts, we're hitting close to home now, ain't we? Retirement accounts, stock market, even grocery store shelves are going to be affected. Mimi told me today, I didn't even think about this with this partial government shutdown. How many food inspectors are not working? Yeah, so what's going to happen with that? You know, the food that we're getting in the grocery store, if we don't have inspectors, what's the outcome of that? We don't know. But basically, there's going to be some major societal shifts like we have never seen. Russia, 1917. I don't know, do some of y'all remember that? The Russian Revolution. Major upheaval in the Russian culture. Then, in the 1930s, this little country that fought in World War I, Germany, had a major societal upheaval in the 1930s. China, after World War II. Major upheavals in their society and their culture. And, any of y'all like to take a trip to Venezuela right now? No, I don't think so. But see the major upheaval in Venezuela. One of the most oil-rich countries in the world, and yet people are starving because they don't know how to manage it. The thing is, we got to prepare now for what's coming in our society. We're going to see these things begin, maybe even into the next election, the 2020 election, the 2024, because what's happening is the truth-based people, we're dying out. Age is basically taking away. And we're having younger people coming up who are believing and working within this. They're going to be the majority electorate. And they're going to start voting for what they believe is right. Now, Rome's fall was slow and steady, but it was still a fall, and it happened from inside. I don't know if this is going to be our fate. It's going to be fast or slow. But we have to be careful unless God intervenes. It's going to happen. Basically, our only hope is in Jesus Christ. His hope for the nations. Now, lights shine bright when it's really dark. So we have to start shining now so the future is going to be what it needs to be. You know, we are on the winning part of this, right? No? You don't care? We're on the winning side of this. Jesus Christ is going to come back one day. Jesus Christ is the King of kings and the Lord of lords. And as Paul told us in Philippians, every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. What does that mean by every? What does the word every mean? Every. All. Satan himself is going to have to bow and say, Jesus Christ is Lord. His teeth will probably be clenched. It'll be forced to, he'll be, yes, Jesus Christ is Lord. That's probably how he's going to say it, but he's going to have to say it because he can't deny the facts. We will be clothed in righteousness. Now imagine this. We are going to inherit and manage a kingdom that is perfect. We are going to, y'all like this one, we're going to walk in pain-free bodies. Won't that be good? No more pain. We'll live in a society free from the effects of sin, and it will all be taken care of. But that's the hope, where the hope is in Jesus Christ. We see what's coming, but we have that hope. We are going to be living in a resurrection hope. Living, breathing, I like this somebody says, in a muscular faith, where it is strong. A living hope. In John chapter 10, verse 10, Jesus is talking about Satan. And he says, here is Satan's prerogative. He comes in to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That is Satan's mission here. To steal, to kill, and to destroy. And wouldn't you like to sit down and have coffee with him? To steal, kill, and destroy. That's his mission. That's what he wants to do. Anything connected to God, that's what he wants to do. But then Jesus gives us that, so to speak, the opposite philosophy. He says in John chapter 11, verse 25, as soon as I can get it, here we go. Jesus says that, there we go, see, I finally found it. Jesus said to this person who was talking with her, he says, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me, even if he dies, will live. Everyone who lives and believes in me will never die, or never, ever die. And he asks this person he's talking to, do you believe this? Satan, steal, kill, destroy. Jesus, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believes in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever lives and believes in me will never, ever die. How such opposite ideologies. Satan, total annihilation. Jesus, eternal life. And that's what it comes down to. That's where we are at. And these things are being battered back and forth. John F. Kennedy said this, and he got it from Edmund Burke, who got it from Reverend Charles F. Aked, A-K-E-D. You probably heard this before. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. That good men do nothing. We have to make a stand now to do what's right. Now, we're in a great adventure right now. We're here for a purpose. Now, you know, we didn't ask to be born here. I don't know, did some of y'all ask that? I have no idea. But we're here, right here on this continent, this time, with this people, our people. Make no mistake about what you're doing. We have to be prepared. Our choice is, do we get involved or we just set aside and let it roll? That's our choice. But we need to be prepared. How many of y'all heard the word preppers? You ever heard people preppers? They're preparing, getting ready for something. They're getting ready for the society collapse or whatever, when people are going to be roaming the countrysides and, you know, foraging for food. And you know, you talk to some people, I'm ready, I'm prepared, I'm a prepper. And so we can be preppers in this way, is to stand strong in our faith and to follow Jesus Christ. But we have to be ready, because it's coming. It's coming. We don't want to be unprepared. We like it when the weather talks about a hurricane, right? How many of y'all, oh, this is the spaghetti model. It goes all over the place, and you go, oh, well, okay, well, and, you know, but what do? What do they tell you to do? Every year, the state of South Carolina, a hurricane preparedness guide. Do you know, and Lawton helped me find this one, there is an earthquake preparedness guide? I've got a copy of it. An earthquake preparedness guide for South Carolina. I said, really? I said, let's see, the last one was 06, I think. But 1906, not 2006. But anyway, you have to be prepared. We did a lot of camping in the bush in Tanzania. You had to. Where the people were at, you had to go. We camped. It was one of Pam's favorite pastimes. Not. Now, our camping was camping. I mean, the tent, where do you dig the hole for the latrine? Well, it's way over there. And, you know, it was fun with the Maasai. You'd ask them, well, where do you, they didn't make latrines or outhouses. We'd ask them, well, what about bathrooms? Well, the men go in that direction, and the women go in that direction. That was it. You just go over there, and you go over there. So, and we found out that's what congas were for, those cloths that they wrap around you, and so the women could use that as a... Anyway. But anyways, we were out camping. Any of y'all seen The Lion King, the movie? You know, see the first part? But then, you know, the sun comes up. You know what really does that? They're not faking it. That's really how it does. But you know what? It goes down the same way. And so, Pam and I, we would be out camping. We'd have a campfire. We'd have all these things, the volunteers out. And we would get in from when we were doing all of our things, and we would go to our tents, get settled in, and we'd come back out, you know, get ready for supper. And one time, one of the volunteers asked us, they said, "What's that around your neck?" It was a headlight. Some of y'all wear headlights, some chicken. I mean, you know, little strap with it, you know. And we just had it hanging around our neck. They said, "Why you got a headlight on? What's going on?" We said, because they said, we told them within 30 minutes it's going to be pitch black. And all you're going to have is this campfire sitting in front of you. And it's lots of fun going back to your tent in pitch black without a flashlight. Especially when you're on the menu there. And there are predators there that will, yeah, they hit their chops. So, you know, and they, well, what happened? In 30 minutes, pitch dark. Pam and I, oh, we can see this is good, all right. Can you walk me back to my tent and get my torch flashlight for me? Sure. Guess what? Guess who had their flashlights the next evening? Everybody. They took us out of work, but they experienced it. So here we are in our society. Now I know there's a lot of facts, a lot of stuff, but this is what we're dealing with. And this is where we're headed. I'm not predicting the future, but taking these things that I've found other people have done research, this is where we're headed. And it's going to change. Unless God intervenes drastically, things are going to be vastly different in 10, 15, 20 years from now that we may not even recognize what is going on. So we have to stand strong in our faith, even in the, like I said, Paul said, put on your armor, get ready. This is what's going to happen. Or these things we're going to head into them, so be prepared when these things do happen. So you won't be panicking. Remember the quote, A.W. Tozer, "A scared world needs a fearless church." And we can be fearless in our faith because we have the truth of God, we have the faith, we believe Him, and He enables us to live for Him if we allow Him. Let's bow our heads, please. Now, I know a lot of the stuff, you say, nah, maybe not here in Holly Hill. We're okay. But eventually, these things will affect us. But the whole thing is, do you have faith in Jesus Christ? Do you know Him personally as your Lord and Savior? Because that is what's going to help you, enable you to work through all of these things. Some of you were around in World War II, and that was a pretty iffy time in our world. We didn't know what was going to happen. Now we can look back and say, okay, we won. But at the time in the middle of it, it was iffy. And you see advances by the enemy and then advances by the Allies, and you wonder, what is really going to happen here? We need to be prepared. And so I'm asking you, are you prepared now? Do you know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? That's the best way to be prepared. If you do, that's great. Ask Him to help you to live each day where you're at, to honor and glorify Him. And if you don't, I'd love to show you how you can know Him as your Lord and Savior. I'm going to be standing at this table down front. We're going to have a time if you'd like to respond, come and talk to me, or you can talk to me after the service. Whatever you would like to do, this is an opportunity for you. Father, we thank you so much. We hate to hear a lot of these things, but we need to hear the truth. We don't need to hear fake news. We don't need to hear everything's okay when it's not. So help us to take these things and to take your word and to go forward in your word in faith, to be able to stand strong in the face of even this post-Christian and the past the Christian, past the truth, to where we can stand and say, well, this is true. And this is where I'm at. Because people are going to be, if they're leaving it now, eventually they will either not care about it or they're going to be searching. So help us to be ready when they're searching. Please stand with your heads bowed and your eyes closed. Karen's going to play just one verse. If you would like to respond, come here or talk to me afterwards. That's fine. Heads bowed and eyes closed. Praying for our nation. Praying for us. Thank you for being here today. Smile as you go out, because guess what? We're on the winning side. Okay, you got that? We're on the winning side. It may be tough at times, but we're on